So first up, I'm going to ask Rene to come and share his presentation.
So, yeah, good afternoon, and I guess the final panel is a little bit going back to the roots, especially from a pure research perspective, as one of the core things actually what we are having in an agency is if we are starting to do the planning and looking on the investment, and we are talking to the advertiser client, I guess we saw a lot of fancy stuff over the last 2 days, and even if we're looking on the data hackathon and also on the creativity award. But one thing is, which is core, it's brand. And what is the brand finally contributing to the ROI? So it's a little bit going back if we're looking on the branding stuff that we are trying to do, maybe using ad effectiveness studies, maybe to give it in advance, we try looking on the ex post information we have, or we are starting to do something like awareness modeling on these KPIs. But in a digital age where we are running fast, it's the question, is this really enough what we need to make a proper planning? Where are we investing in a digital space? So in one of the questions and in my team, we're actually asking us, how can we look in the future? And how can we go in the future? Having a crystal ball and see what is going up there. But the crystal ball is something where the clients do not trust. And I guess trust is the most important thing that we need here. The claim we have with Back to the Future is more like that we want to know today what will be better tomorrow. Because normal research is something like, okay, we know today what would be better or what would be better yesterday, because we can't do anything there. But let me go a little bit deeper in what we're actually thinking here. So CAST is actually the system what we are using. It stands for Comprehensive Audience Survey Targeting. And for our clients, it's actually the reality where we are starting now, what we are doing there. So what are we doing? One of the things is we want to know before we are starting the campaign, the factors, the brand KPI factors we would normally get after the campaign. The second thing is we don't want to do copy tests. So using a survey, putting in an ad, asking them how they like it, creativity, it's good. It's good for A/B testing, but it's not actually reflecting what is happening in a real campaign. If we're doing frequency capping, if we're doing different banners, different placements. So we have to reflect everything in a real environment. With real people, for sure, with budget, with media budget, but only with a very small proportion of the budget. But I come to this later. It needs to be real-time. So we need to be able to have a real-time analysis of all the effectiveness KPIs during we are doing this. And finally, what we are actually seeing is with everything what we're doing, research, traditional research or the classic research is actually meeting big data. It's an innovative technology what we're actually using here, and how it fits into the entire philosophy what we are having, I will show you now on the next slides. So the point, I guess, pretty familiar. That's a normal process if clients are asking us about brand contribution. So we are doing our media plan, we're thinking about the tracking, we're executing the campaign, first of all, we're doing the pre-measurement, we're executing a campaign, maybe we do a control measurement during the campaign, we do a post-measurement, and then we are providing the results to the client and to our agency folks. But the problem with this is pretty easy. It costs $100,000 or euros to run this survey because I need real campaign budget. The campaign has to be executed, and I know after the campaign what would be better. This is something we want to change because we want to know before the campaign what will happen. If we're looking on this one, and if we get fresh-minded in there, there's only one solution. It's quite obvious, take off the purple ones. We still have to do the media planning, and we still have to execute a campaign. So there's only one bucket left here in between where we're actually putting in our solution. What is the solution actually doing? So normally I could say, hey, we are done, we have the solution, but what is in this green box? In the green box, we have selected, or we have found a partner which is actually thinking in the same way as we do. And I'm actually saving 30 seconds of my time, as I do not have to introduce Research Now anymore, as Maria already did. So we are actually partnering in the German market with Research Now, and we're starting to do this internationally as well. And we are connecting the panel with our programmatic system. So we are actually adding it in our ad server and programmatic database. It's a matching process, regardless if it's digital, regardless if it's desktop or mobile. So we are connecting all the digital devices here. What we are now doing and what we enabled, so we are talking to our agency folks about the target group, we are selecting the target group, and we are actually building a plan based on the sample, a real plan which is predicted to the whole media budget we finally have. If we have done this, we are going back to the system and starting to run the campaign on the normal website with the normal behavior of all the folks which are in the panel. So we were running an actual campaign, but only with a couple of thousand impressions, which means the budget we are actually using is a couple of €100. So finally, after we have done frequency, we are controlling the contact classes, we are looking on the placements, we're looking on the different formats, if there is video run, we are running a survey to identify the KPIs on the brand, a normal tracking survey. And what you see in the lower green box is actually then what we are doing together with the client and with the agency folks. We are starting to optimize based on the target group, based on the KPIs, based on the placements and the creatives. We are forecasting then the entire campaign, and we are telling the client what they will reach on the branding KPIs. So in a nutshell, what we are actually having here is we are using targeting systems as we are connecting the panel to our system and running these campaigns. We are doing this for all the advertising formats and placements which we are actually using in our agency business. It's a real session with real people, with a real campaign, but only in this environment of the panel. We are simulating the entire media plan, and finally we are delivering the KPIs in a forecast environment, so what they will expect if they're running the campaign. So we did the first one with a unit out of the Daimler company. It's called Movil. Movil is a mobility app. For people which are traveling maybe to Germany, they have something like called My Taxi, where you can order this one and integrate it in this app. One of the cool things actually what the question were, what is my target group for such a mobility app? They are offering the service in the big cities, and what the marketing says from the client was, we have to offer this for citizens, they are living there. So pretty small target group, 5 big cities, that's what a campaign has to run. But we finally came up together with the media agency that it might be good to think about even people that are traveling in the city, commuter coming a little bit far, that this might be also in for interest for them. So we ran a complete campaign here with the real creatives and found out that for sure the green box, they're interested in it, but even the yellow one, which are the commuters to the city, visitors of the cities, are more interested in everything. And we see this in the awareness factors, we see this in the image factors, and we finally see this in the download purchase intention, which is finally the purchase. So it's an increase of around about 50% in the group, which was normally not in focus of the marketing of the client. So we have a new target group definition before we started the entire campaign. So make it bigger, giving them more options for the purchase and the download of the app, having a much higher attention score, and finally we are providing them a much higher ROI because we are actually offering the solution to a much bigger target group as well in a much better way. And finally, what we did as well is, for sure, we are looking on the creative. They've had 2 different creatives. You see the one at the top and the other creative below there. Normally, they would done the one with the 3 rollings. But we see the simple one, the gray one, is better than this funny colored one. It's simple, it's clear in the message. And as we saw all the time, higher scores. With these creatives, we even are at some points below our benchmark, what we're having in there. So it's unique or something like this. But overall, we see the creative number 1 is performing much better than creative number 2. So that's finally done. We've selected the best target group. We are now also selecting the best creative, which is providing the agency finally the best media strategy before they even have started with the campaign. Good, thank you.